Yagi now a super typhoon with the pressure down to 915 hectopascals based on satellite imagery. This storm rivals some of the stronger ones you could think about, like Odette or Yolanda over in the Philippines. As this moves towards the west, though, main impacts are going to be in northern Hainan here in southern China. Already Signal Force 8 issued in Hong Kong. Now that's well north of that center of circulation right here, but those rain bands are pushing on by, causing some disruptions to day-to-day lives out there. Meanwhile, back towards the west, and I'll talk more on this in a second, we're still seeing inflow with scattered showers for parts of the west coast of the Philippines, but the biggest impact in Haikui there in northern Hainan, and eventually out here to northern Vietnam as well as the storm system moves towards the west. But look at these areas in the darker red. As the satellite loops on through, you can just see how that expands out, clear and defined eye, an absolutely potent and dangerous storm system as it cruises over southern China here before crashing on shore there just towards the north of Hanoi. Now, the good news for the metro area, it looks like this storm is tracking further north. It's going to hit to the mountains instead of coming on shore in some of those low-lying areas. But with that said, it's still going to squeeze out a lot of moisture and still a major flood threat. Not to mention that coastal threat in some of these areas with that storm surge, which could be 6 to 7 meters in spots in that right front quadrant, especially back here. You know, some of these bays and inlets here on Friday afternoon are absolutely going to be pummeled by this storm as it pushes overhead. This is definitely going to be a situation where we're talking about damage after this storm. Then it moves on shore, and yeah, some major flood threats out here across northern Vietnam as it pushes on through. So yeah, multiple impacts as it kicks off here towards the west.
Do you hate doing your taxes? Do you struggle figuring out what the law is and money management overseas?
I wish there was an easier way.
Well, FrontrunnerFinancial.com is your choice if this falls into your category. They're an international based group of American accountants. They're based in Manila, and they're qualified to give you the best information where you are for those international finances. I wish I had these guys when I lived in Tokyo. Each year it was a struggle where I needed to put money, what I needed to do. FrontrunnerFinancial.com. Be sure to check them out and let them know we sent them your way.
And we got plenty to talk about over the next few days. If you are ahead of this storm, just a reminder, it is a super typhoon. That is no joke whatsoever. Northern Hainan taking some of the major impacts, but extending out across the peninsula too. And we got a new typhoon possibly in the long range. Now I'll talk more about that in a second. Really the big topic today is, of course, Yagi and how dangerous of a storm. But I have a separate video completely talking about that new potential storm system as well. So make sure you check that out on this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can get those notifications. But look at the waves. You know, the entire West Philippine Sea, you got these waves kicking up here. But oof, that is indicating 6+ meters in spots here just offshore as that comes on and making that landfall. Oof. Absolutely rough here on your Friday across the Gulf Bohai. But rain totals across Hainan, 300 millimeters plus. Hanoi could even see those amounts. But I think actually this should be a little bit further north. Now, I'm not disagreeing with the model per se. I'm just saying I think that inflow and that wraparound towards the north of Hanoi is going to be some of the biggest impacts up there into the mountains. Meanwhile, that comes on shore, right? At least by the end of the weekend, we start to see some breaks here across the Philippines as far as that enhanced monsoon, but it's going to kick back up next week. Hear me out. We got another low developing right here, and then you look off towards the east, another storm system moving towards Guam with some impacts on top of that. I mentioned I got a separate video talking about these storms and all the impacts we had with that. Of course, with Yagi, we're still looking at that threat of heavy rains, strong winds, floodings, but Let's take a quick look at this other area because this is what I'm talking about. Of course, we got a tropical wave just towards the north and west of Guam. That's pulling off towards the north. We also have a named storm. That's Leapy right there. In this area here, which, by the way, satellite imagery kind of showing some faint circulation, which is why I'm not I'm not too reserved on saying this is going to develop. It's already looking like a threat on satellite imagery. So you get that low. You get a new low over here, of course, outside of direct impacts on Guam. Both of these are going to be developing and enhancing that monsoonal flow for the Philippines as we go ahead into next week, which is going to be creating that threat of additional flooding. I mean, look at the 5-day rainfall totals for northern Luzon. These are widespread swaths of 1 to nearly 200 millimeters of total precipitation. So, of course, there are plenty of impacts from Yagi, but also these new storms. It's a very, very active weather pattern in the Western Pacific. So I'm going to do my best to keep you guys posted, but at least here through the weekend, we might get some breaks. Look at that, a sunshine symbol. Yeah, there'll be some breaks as those winds start to shift from the south towards the north, but still on and off rains, and then it's going to pick back up heading into next week with that next potential area of low pressure forming up. All right, big thanks for everybody on our Patreon who supports this channel. Can't stress it enough. You guys are fantastic, and we got D Fresh Marty just joined up here recently, so thank you guys. And I want to do this full time. I say this a lot, but it's tough to afford everything and all that. This channel does not make a lot of money, so I'm able to do it solely because of the support for Patreon members, our sponsors like Ikani Surf Resort, which, by the way, give them some love. Check them out. They're out here in Northern Ilocos Norte, and they got a surf competition going on 1st to the 7th. All sorts of things happening with that. So be sure you stop by and let them know I sent them your way. I sent you their way. That's what I meant to say. Anyways, that's a look at what we got going on today. If you have any questions, though, please let me know. Number one thing, of course, stay safe out there, guys.